And we're up to halacha yud beis. Okay? Halacha yud beis. He says, okay. U'amato beritzvo. Actually, let's start with Yud Aleph, because Yud Aleph and Yud Beis is connected. He says, "Ubekeren maravas draimus." Maravas means the south, the southwest corner. That means the corner of the mizbeach that's close to the Kodesh Kedoshim. Because the mizbeach is in Ma'ariv and in Dorim. Hoyu shnei nekovim. There were two holes over there. Kemin shnei chutmen dakim, like two nostrils. We touched it yesterday. V'heim nekroyim shitim. They're called shitim. Why? Sha'adomim Yarden Bahem, the blood, the state, there's a lotion we say in davening, Shorei Adom, or Yishayfech, Said Marovi. In other words, there was, when they shechted the chatas, so they had to throw blood on the kronis. So when they shechted the chatas, they, under the neck of the behemoth, they held a cup, or a few cups, and they caught the blood from the behemoth. We're going to learn later that they would let it go up on a side ramp. There was a side ramp to go up on this beach, besides the kevis, besides the main central ramp, there was a side ramp, and they would go up on the side ramp, and they would stand over there, and from there throw blood on the kronis. Because why throw blood on the kronis? Because the person said v'zoku was adam, so it has to be zrik, has to be throwing, and they didn't use up the whole blood there remained blood in the cup that they were pouring from. So shiorei hadom, the extra blood, they would pour it on the side maravi. So he's saying, where would they pour it on the side maravi? There were over there in the little piece over there. There were two nostrils, and they pour it down those nostrils. Where did it go? It's like there was no basement. The mizbeach was on a mountain, and on the mountain they built a building. So where did it go? He said it went down to below the mountain. That's what's called what it says over here. Beheim on the kroim shiten. Sha'adomim yodim bahem u'mizdorim ba'oisei hakarim ba'ama b'yotzin l'nachal kidron. Over there they would go, and there was like they would go into a vent, like, and from the vent they would go out, and there was a stream of water by the Beis HaMikdash, so it would go out in the stream of water and it would go away.
So that's how the drains of your house, how it works?
Huh?
Like a drain of a house?
Yeah. Now he's saying, now goes to the next one, where I said we're going to two it up together. So now he says, Ulamato berizpa, on the floor, on the floor over there. But also hakeren, by that keren where they poured the blood into the nostrils. Haya mokim amma al amma. There was a place that was amma al amma. It was a square amma by amma. Let's say 2 feet by 2 feet. V'tavla shashayish v'tabas kvuaba. In other words, there was they dug up the land. So the emphasis is that the whole Mizbeach, like we explained, we went before, had tiles over the whole Mizbeach, the whole Beis HaMikdash. But the tiles over the whole Beis HaMikdash were cemented down. So he's saying that over there by that corner, there was a tile that was not cemented. But he's saying that there was a tile and a ring was on top of the tile. The ring was like a handle. In order to pick up the tile, you had to be able to pick it up. So there was a ring over there. So let's see weiter. He says, Ulamata b'risva, ba'oisa keren, haya mokim amma al amma, v'tavo shel shayesh, and there was a tile. Shayesh is a stone. V'tabas kvuaba, and there's a ring that is connected to it. Now, what's the idea? The idea was that you could pick it up. So that means to say that under there was like sometimes a mortgage site, and they used to make like air conditioning. So they used to build big metal vents that the air conditioner went to. So it seemed like over there was dug out. There was a hole over there.
A manhole.
Huh? A man's hole. Okay, call a man, right. Shabai Yordan Ushitin. Now, Shitin was under the Mizbeach, was called the Shitin, because there was over there was the Evan Shasiyah. So, what do they need it for? Umanakin eyesight. That means that this is. We just said that they poured the blood into these nostrils. Where did they go? Where did the blood go into the nostril? It went into the nostril, into this place, into this tunnel like that was built over there. So maybe there was Mustama blood. It's called in English. I think it's agulates. It hardens up. So maybe so you keep the whole day pouring blood. So Mustama it gets a little stuffed up over there. So they would pick up this marble, and people would go. A man would go into the stomach, and he'd clean it out to make sure that the blood that they pour into the nostrils should flow very smoothly. Now he says another thing. V'keves hayabanu v'deraymai shamizbeach. There was a ramp that was there. Now he's talking about the central ramp. In other words, the big ramp, which comes up to the front. So we said that the Mizbeach was in Durham. So he's saying that the Kebbers Hayabonu with the Raima Sham Mizbeach to the south side of the Mizbeach. Okay, Shloshim Shtayim Amma. It was the whole width. You remember, we learned before that the bottom of the bottom was the Yesod, and we learned that the Yesod was 32 Amma, the whole width of the Mizbeach. It's shortened as it went up the Mizbeach, but the bottom was 30. So the keves was the whole width. No, I'm sorry. Oh, no, I made a mistake. Okay, Shloshim Ushtayim Amma, Al Reichav Tezainam. It wasn't. I made a mistake. I said wrong. The Acha means the length. That means the slope. The slope of the kevis, which went up this way, was 32 amma. When it goes up this way, so it reaches the top of the mizbeach. The width of it was not the whole width of the mizbeach. We learned yesterday that the width of the mizbeach was 28 amma.
No, the bottom was 32.
Huh?
The bottom was 32.
No, the top. The top of the mizbeach was 28 amma. We learned yesterday, 28 and something. So if the kevis would be 16, like I said before, I made a mistake, then it would be extending over the mizbeach. It didn't extend over the mizbeach. You had the kevis, like let's say the mizbeach is the table where I'm sitting, so and this is the mizbeach. So the kevis with the rim, that means the length of it was 32 amma, and it came up to the center of the mizbeach. Let's look right now. The kevis hayabanu with the roim mizbeach. On the south side of the mizbeach, there was a ramp. Ochay, the length of it, the slope basis, was shloishim ushtayim amma, was 32 amma. Al roichav tazayin amma, and the width was 16 amma. B'haya oichol ba'aretz shloishim amma mitzad hamizbeach, and it took, huh?
Extended 30 ammas. Not 32, but 30. On the floor.
So on the floor, upareach mimanu amma al yesod v'amma al hasayvim. That means that this the way first we'll show this picture. No, the picture right yesterday.
Okay.
No, okay, this is not really the picture. We learned yesterday that there was sticking out and higher. So Mamela, the ramp had to cover over. When it was on a slope, it had to cover. So it was like, it caused it flying. It was flying over the side. That's what it means over here. And it was flying over here, over the side of it. Because those parts stick out. Ba'ava ma'at haya mafsik ben ha-keves u'mizbeach. Now, the keves was a ram. It wasn't built flush with the mizbeach. In other words, when the keves came up over here, there was a little bit of a space between the end of the keves and the mizbeach. Why was there a little bit of a space at the end of the keves? Because they had to throw the parts of the animal onto the mizbeach. The same thing like the blood, they had to throw it. So this way they couldn't go up right away. So when they're standing there and there's a space, so the easiest thing is to throw it up over the space.
Because you said indented.
Huh?
You said indented.
The side was not indented. The side was extended.
It was wider.
It was extended. I'm saying.
Huh?
It was out.
It was wider, right? And
So?
the same way later on it also was dented.
Huh?
Later on it was very indented also.
That's why it's pareach. But that's the lashon pareach. That it was flying over. As I said.
Two arms sticking out.
Yeah, I'm saying that's what as I said. That's what it says. It's flying over.
understand why it's flying over. If you throw something, why should it fly over?
No. If you have something over here, okay,
Yeah.
and I put this a slant over here, okay, so it's not laying on top; it's flying over it. You have an empty space over here at the bottom between when the thing is on a slant.
Okay, so.
Okay, so that's what it means it's flying over. It's flying over an amma. Because this height was an amma. Now we keep going weiter. המזבח. ופרח ממנו עמה על היסוד ועמה על הסגר. ואבא מעט היה מפסיק בין הכבש למזבח, כדי ליתן האיברים מזבח בזריקה, in order to give it, we're throwing it on. וגויבה הכבש, 9 אמס, פחס שטוס, עד כנגד המערכה. Now, what does it mean that the Goyva Kevis was 9 amos, less a sixth? So it means that this we know that the Mizbeach from the floor, the top of the Mizbeach, we went yesterday was 53 tvachim. Huh? And now, we also know that an amma is 6 tvachim, right? So if an amma is 6 tvachim, so 9 tvachim, 6, he says it was 6 ammas, so it said 9 ammas, 9 ammas, 9 times 6 is 54. Kommt der Chayis that it was higher than the Mizbeach. It was over the Mizbeach. So he's saying that it was 9 amma, lesser shtus. What's lesser shtus? It means there's 6 tvachim in an amma. So a shtus is 1 tefach. So now, if we say that it was 9 times 6 minus 1 is 53. So it went right up till the Maracha. He said, we'll go again. V'gayva kevis, the height, was 9 amos, pachas shtus, less a shtus, means less, I don't know he gives such as a measurement, it means 1 tefach, that's what it means. Out connected hamaracha till it comes out side with the maracha. Ushnei kavasim ketanim yotzem mimenu. Now from the keves over here on this picture, if you see it, there's a ramp over here. This is the main keves, and here there's a ramp on the side. But there was a ramp on each side.
A small one.
Yeah, a small ramp. Now you notice the small ram, if you look at this picture carefully, the top is the third section. You don't see over in this picture, you don't see the amma, because the amma is covered over here. But you see the first section and the second section and the third section. So it went up to the third section, but also the small ram went up to the side, to what we call the saiviv. The saiviv was the top of the box over here. That's in order that the kohen could walk around on it. The kohen had to walk around on it to throw the blood on the kronos, which was on top of here.
He couldn't spill it he couldn't spill it.
No, he went up till here,
And spilled it.
and this was 3 tvachim. I mean, this 18 tvachim is 3 feet, so he was higher, and he walked around here, and when he came over here, when he came to the other side, he threw down the blood on the side, and he was able to walk down. So that's what he's saying, that Ushnei kvasim ketanim yotzim mimenu, go off the main one, shebahem painim liyasayid u'asayvev hamavdalim min hamazbeach umavdalim min hamazbeach kamoli nima. In other words, it wasn't attached to the mizbeach. It was a little bit a drop away. Now, when he said kamoli nima, because before, when you had to throw the avodim, so you make a bigger space. So because it's heavy pieces, you want to make sure that over here it's a little bit away. So it gives them a message to throw it, not to put it. B'chalain haisa b'mayrev shokeves. On the you said there's two crossings. You said in one of them there was a window. A window means a box. There was what do you need a box? She's saying Amma al Amma, which was like an opening of a square Amma. Urebuva Hoisinagras, it was called Rebuva, Shabo Noisim Psule Chata Sa'if, Acha Tahaba Tsurasai, V'Teitzai Gubeis HaSreifa. That means that this if they had a Chata Sa'if, became possible for some reason, in other words, they shechted they did Malika. They did Malika to the Eif, and then they became possible. It could be for different reasons. It could be for pig or for other reasons. What do they do with it? So, in the meantime, what they did, the first thing they did was they put it aside. But where are you going to put it? So there was a little storage space where they threw it into a little storage space, and because it had to be ubet surasa, in other words, that it was overnight. So it's nifsabalina, and b'meila, once it was nifsabalina, then they could take it out. Because otherwise, the shalu, if you could burn kachim, shenifslu. So that's what he's saying, that there was you look again at the words. He says, "V'chalain haisa b'marabe shel keves." On the mighty side of the keves, there was a window. It's not the little crossing. That's in the main keves, in the center ramp. Amma al Amma, the Revuva Hosa Negras. The Raiva disagrees over the Raiva holds that the Revuva was something else, the Chalain was something else. Shabbat Noisen Sule Chatas Ha'aif Acha Te'uba Tzuasai till it gets nifsabulina by waiting overnight. V'yaitze Gabeis HaSreifa. Another thing he says, that's as far as the Mizbeach is concerned with the kevish. Then he says, "Ushnei shulchanos hay b'mayre v'kevish." This is not talking about the shulchan which lechem upon him. We're talking now about the shulchan that there were tables there, like working tables. They like a butcher shop. They had working tables. He says, "Ushnei shulchanos hay b'mayre v'kevish." Echad shel shayish, one was from stone. Shenois and olive esayvarim, ve'achar shel kesef shenois and klei ashoris. They had the klei ashoris is like the pots and the forks and everything. So those are silver. So one had on it all the butcher utensils, so to say, the butcher's tools, and one had on it the meat. They would work. The meat they would work on that table, and they needed utensils to work. They took them from the other side. That's why they had two tables. Now he says, Kishabainin HaMizbeach, when you build a Mizbeach, Bainin Oisai Kula Otam.
He didn't.
The whole Mizbeach was closed. In other words, we learned many times already that there was the Mizbeach Hazov and the Mizbeach HaChitzon. So he's saying the Mizbeach Hazov wasn't a box. It wasn't a box that was framed out with wood and covered with gold. It was stone. So how are we going to build a Mizbeach with stone? And it should be all these ways that there's one part that's one size, and then there's a piece on top of it that's a little smaller, and a piece a little smaller. How are you going to do that with stone? Especially that you're not allowed to cut the stones. Okay, you cut them out of the mountain, but when they brought them in already, you couldn't cut them anymore. So how are you going to build them with stone? So the Rambam says, look now, this halacha over here. Kishabainin HaMizbeach, bainin is a kulei otam. The whole Mizbeach is filled up. You know, there's no hollow spaces. Like I said, it's not an empty box, but it's all filled up. The stone filled up the whole Mizbeach. So what did he do? So he says as a Kamin Ahmed, Kamin Ahmed, like an Ahmed. But ain't oisim by kol. It's just like a big piece of wood, let's say. Kamin Ahmed, like there's nothing hollow in it. There was no hollowness in the Mizbeach. So how did they do it? Ella, maybe avonim shleimes gedolos ukatanos, maybe sid v'zefes v'konya umamacha v'shayfach l'teich malbim gadol kemidasai ubayna v'ayla. That means what this is. In order to make the Mizbeach, what they did was, first they made a frame. They made a frame, a hollow frame. All these things that we learned about, the Yisayv and the Soivev and the Maracha, they made a whole thing. They made a wood frame, exactly according to the measurements of the Mizbeach. Now, what did they do now? They threw into this place. They threw stones. And they filled it up with stone. But when you fill it up with stone, stones are round or square or different. I mean, so there's a lot of, they filled it up with stone, but it's not going to be full. There's going to be a lot of holes over there. So what did they do? They took cement, and after they put in the stone, they put in cement. The cement was liquidy, so the cement spread out. Wherever there was a hole, cement went in over there, and it covered up that thing, and it covered up everything. So he's saying now, if you look at the words again, Kshabayna Mizbeach, Bayna is a kulei otam. You build it all closed up. Kamin Ahmed. You make it like a chunk of wood. There's no empty space at all in it. So how did they do it? Maybe you bring avonim shleimus. They have to be ganzer stones. Gedolos ukatanos, different sizes. Or maybe sid, bezefes, v'kunya. These are all a different kind of plaster or cement, or I don't know exactly what each one is. Memacha, and you grind them. In other words, the sid or the other thing, cement comes out in chunks, or plaster comes in chunks, and then you grind it and you make a liquid out of it. V'shayfach l'teich malbim gadol can be dosai, and you pour it into malbim is a frame. You pour it into the frame, which was made according to the size of the Mizbeach. Ubayna v'ayla, and b'meila, and you keep going up as it fills up. as the bottom fills up, you put in more stones and you put in more of the cement. B'noisen b'toich habinyan, 8 guf shel eitz or evan, b'keren droimes mizrachas, kemidas hayesod. Now, how do you make the yesod? He said the same thing. You build like a frame for the yesod. So it goes into the yesod. B'chay noisen b'chol keren v'keren ad sheyashim habinyan. Also, we said that the kronos have to be they were hollow. Now, if the kronos were hollow, so what stops the cement from going into the kronos? So he said when you made this frame, you put up pieces over there that block it, that fill it up, and so when it comes off, it'll be complete.
Any bathroom knows that.
Huh?
Any bathroom knows that.
How?
Any bathroom knows it.
Who's the fucking knocking here?
I don't understand. Let me just finish this line over here. Ad sheyashim habinyan, v'yoser hagufim shebetoich habinyan, and you remove the frame that was there. Kedei shetishor keren droimes mizrachas below your side. B'yish ashru hakabonas chalum. The keren that didn't have a side. When you build a frame, they built the whole frame around it. So the section that didn't have a side, they put a piece of wood in it, so no cement should go in there. And when you remove it, so it'll come out that this will be hollow because no cement was able to get in there.
Thank you.
Okay.
That's it. Huh?
Okay.
Thank you.